And here's the cover. Just put it back on like that. Put a little glue here at the bottom edge. And there's the cap. Welcome back to part 2, Motorola VT73 Restore. We'll do the vertical and horizontal circuits first. See if we can get the picture stabilized and get it where it needs to be. So let's get started. Here's my 600-volt caps that I use to replace the paper caps in my restores. I've got very seldom I'll run into one that I don't have, unless it's like a 1000-volt cap or something like that. So hopefully we'll have everything we need. I had about gotten to the point on these old TV restores and radios about quit restuffing caps. A lot of work and no one sees them. But on this set, I think that's what I'm going to do. With no work being done on this chassis underneath, I'm going to try to preserve that look. So we're going to just take each one of these out one at a time. All the paper caps. We'll remove the insides, put the new cap inside the old case, and I'll show you how I do one of them. I'm not going to show you all of them. That'd take too long. But we'll pull the first one out, and I'll show you my process of how I do it. Heat gun, the old cap, and a piece of metal for the wax to drip on. That cleaned up pretty well. There's how we do it. Just a glue gun with some brown glue sticks. And hey, if you're going to restuff, turn the label out. So one finished, 15 or 20 more to go probably. And that one didn't make any difference in the picture. That was just an easy one to get to. That's why I started with it. All right, a little progress update. It's made a big difference. You see our picture is stable. It's in proportion. Go back here to window circle. Looks pretty good. Now I did want to mention, here's all the paper caps I've replaced. All of these, including that one. That one I haven't done. Of course, these three down here, one there. But when I do these, I do them one at a time. I'll take one out, restuff it, put it back in, make sure that we're okay on the picture, and then move on to the next one. Next, I'm got to do this one. That's in a high voltage circuit. We'll replace it. And there's another one right back there, kind of hidden. And then all these high voltage caps, we're going to restuff them also. Once we get those finished, then we'll get in the audio and the video circuits and finish up. One good thing about restuffing, look how bright that writing is, because we're getting rid of all that wax that's on the outside like that one has. Take a break. I've been working here several hours doing these restuffing. I'm kind of tired, so I have all of the caps restuffed except this one on the paper caps, and then the two high voltage caps. Now, I'm not going to use these disc capacitors, and because they won't hold up, they'll drift and cause problems in the picture. So we're going to use some better quality caps there. I'll show you those when I get ready to restuff them. And this one connects to the filter caps down in here. I need to get rid of these selenium rectifiers, change those filter caps, so that's why I didn't pursue that one. I'll just have to, if I did it, I'd have to unsolder it when I get ready to change those caps, so we'll wait, do it then. And this one I just ran out of time. We'll do it when we restuff the rest of these. Spend a little time talking about high voltage caps. Of course, these old caps, they are 6 kV, 6,000 volt. These are 0.005s. That's these two that I haven't replaced yet, haven't restuffed yet, I should say. But these film caps they're getting harder and harder to find. I have one left of the 0.001s, which are these two. I use my two of the film caps in those. To find these film caps with the long leads and the smaller size that will fit inside this, it's getting almost impossible. Now, yeah, you can buy 0.047 6,000 volt, but look how big it is. No possible way that you could restuff that. These are some new old stock 0.0047 8,000 volt. These are some Sprague. I don't know how old these are. I'm assuming that they're okay. We're going to try them and see. But bought 10 of those, pretty reasonable price. So let's try these and see how they work. Okay, just temporarily tacked them in. And looks like they're working good. All right, so we got us some 8,000 volt caps. So let's do that next. These high voltage caps have a lot of room inside, so what I've done is just use some hot glue, glued the new caps against the case on the inside. And then, because we have so much room on the ends, I'm going to cut a piece of cardboard to put on them, and then we'll fill the rest of it up with hot glue on top of that. And there's a completed cap with a brown hot glue on the end. There's all the high voltage caps put back. I matched the original positioning. Here's a before and after picture. And still working okay. So next, replace these selenium rectifiers and restuff those electrolytics. All right, we've removed the first cap. This one. Let's see. AC input cap. This one right here, C1. While it was working, you can see that starting to leak out a little bit there. And slightly bulged there on the end too, it looks like. I'm going to get this cardboard sleeve off, and then we'll just cut the bottom of the cap, put a new electrolytic in there, and then put the cardboard back on. Well, the first one was hard to get off. There's why. It really had the tar on that one. Cut this apart, just used a utility knife. And I can choose to put this back or leave it off and just put the cover on it like that. And maybe what I do be easier for, be an easier fit to put it back on there. So let me get the cap installed. We'll get this one put back together. First one finished. And we'll hook back up underneath. Still working fine. Okay, electrolytic number 2. Right there. And I did mark the way this went in. I don't know if you can see it, there's a blue Sharpie mark right there. And we got a blue mark right here. So we know that lug goes down. Works kind of the way we did the small paper caps. I'm going to heat this up, the heat gun, and hopefully this cardboard sleeve will pull off. Okay, not as much tar on that one. Just along the tops, wasn't too bad. Same deal on this one. Just take the utility knife, cut around the bottom, right in there. While this cap was still working, you can see we're starting to break down. It pulled out in one piece, wasn't too bad. All right, caps mounted. And I have them connected to the 3 terminals. And this wire is just a ground wire running to all 3 caps. And I'll hook it up to a ground lug once I get the cap mounted back in the chassis. And here's the cover. Just put it back on like that. Put a little glue here at the bottom edge, and there's the cap. Hooked back up. And that ground wire coming out of the cap right there. Just attached it to that lug. Okay. Again. They covered a $14,000 head replacement. Let's move on to the last one. $1,400. Okay, this is just a 2-section, and it helps to have these smaller caps, because that way I can install one large one and one small one. We're ready to go back in. And done this one the same way on the ground. It's coming through that hole. You can see it's not attached to anything. Once I get the cap in, I'll attach it to that terminal right there. All right, cap number 3 installed. We're still working okay. So now let's put in some silicon rectifiers to replace these 2 seleniums. Okay. Replace the seleniums, 2 silicon rectifiers, and really simple. I just left the jumper on between the 2 seleniums. Just a jumper because they're unhooked up here. They're not doing anything. And we just put our silicon rectifier from here to the ground and from the ACN over to the B+, which goes to that filter cap right back there. Let's turn it on, make sure that we're still working okay. And it is. Before we say the chassis is finished underneath, I want to check resistors, specifically in the IF circuit. And I want to coat these connections here on these high voltage caps with some Corona dope. And those resistors I mentioned earlier, this 56 ohm, 56 ohm, and a 68 ohm, they all test right on it. Let's put the original CRT back in and see what it looks like. Not too bad. Now, I think you can see those retrace lines. We want to get rid of those retrace lines when you turn the brightness up. Just a simple modification. I've drawn it out here so I can explain it to you. Pin 3 of the CRT is normally ground. So we just take it loose from ground, and here's where it was connected. This orange wire that goes to pin 3 of the CRT. It was hooked up here. We disconnect it there. We put a 200K resistor. I've got a 180, which works fine. Connect the wire we've just disconnected to the resistor. Connect it to ground, the other side. And then this wire goes to the vertical output tube, or vertical amp, if you want to call it that. And let's get this out of the way. This is a 0.00047, but we connect the blue wire, which goes to resistor and pin 3 of the tube. And we put the other side of the cap on pin 5 of the vertical amp. On the schematic, let me show you what I've drawn here. Here's pin 3, 7JP4. We disconnect it from ground, go to that one side of the resistor, and then the other side of the resistor goes back to ground. Then here's our cap, 00047, one side of the resistor, and the other side goes to pin 5 of the vertical amp tube, right there. No more retrace lines. And that'll do it for part 2. Thanks for watching. See you in part 3. We hope you've enjoyed the video. And if you did, how about giving us a like and subscribe to our channel? Thanks.